So we just have a couple of questions for you, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so our first question is, what inspired you to pursue a career that intersects science, education, and leadership?
Sure. So I would actually say I've let opportunity lead in a lot of senses. So I actually studied literature and French translation when I was in college, and then I took a job doing something that seemed kind of in my skill set. A friend of mine recommended applying to this job, and I was getting ready to start my master's degree in translation. And the job was focused on writing educational content. And I ended up really liking it. I thought I would do the job for 6 months and then go and do my master's, and I ended up really loving it. And then I got the opportunity to focus on learning design at work, and I took a 1 year program while I was working. And then I had an opportunity to travel overseas to work at Harvard on a specific project, and that's where I met my current boss. So LabXchange is part of Harvard University. And then throughout my 20s, I took online courses, I volunteered for projects at work, I joined business book clubs, I did Toastmasters. I think I just said yes to a lot of things, even when it was kind of scary. And I ended up moving to the United States from South Africa when I was the year that I turned 30. And I knew I wanted to study further. And when I was deciding whether to go deeper into education or to do a business degree, I thought a lot about what I'm actually most interested in. And I felt like I was really more interested in the variety that doing an MBA was going to give me instead of more specialization in one particular field. So that's kind of how I've ended up at this intersection of science, education, leadership has been really a lot of it through opportunity.
That sounds very exciting. So, how do you see a technology and digital learning platform shaping the future of science education?
I think it's a really exciting time where we're seeing a lot of opportunity in education and technology. I will say there's a lot of noise at the moment where people are trying to figure out what to do and what the rise of AI is means for education. But I think that there are going to be a lot more opportunities for more immersive learning, and I think deeper engagement with analytics. But I know that at the moment, data privacy and the reliability and accuracy of information are really big areas of concern. So I will say, I spend a lot of my time talking and thinking about AI in education, and I'm seeing a lot of really exciting opportunities, but there's a lot of tension at the moment. So I'm not really sure where we're going, but I think everything around the way that technologies are getting increasingly integrated with our day-to-day realities, I think a lot of that will start happening more and more in education, but it's going to be happening at different paces in different places, depending on resource availability too.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. You mentioned AI. Are you like a believer in AI, or do you think it's something that we should take precaution of, or what are your opinions on AI and just technology and like science related?
So I would say I'm not specifically a techno optimist. I don't necessarily believe that tech is good just because it's technology. I don't believe that every technological advancement is necessarily an advancement for society. But I think that there are opportunities that are opening up with AI technologies that are just making different things possible. And a lot of the conversations are around how do you keep the human in the loop. And I think that AI, because it's really just large language models are really just prediction models. So there's opportunity to see interpretations of things that you might not have picked up with a human eye and then have human interpretation of that. So I think that it's really that interaction between of humans with AI, but I do think we need to be really cautious. I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding about there's this concept called the jagged frontier in AI, where there are things that AI is really, really good at that we sometimes underestimate how good it is, and there are things it's really bad at, and we overestimate its abilities. And so I think that a baseline understanding, I think, of how these models work and what we're using them for is really important for engaging with them in a meaningful way.
I think those are all very like good points you made about AI. So now moving like directly to students, what are some key skills that you think students should develop now to thrive in both scientific and business careers, and including AI? We see this new aspect of this career, and I actually saw like an infographic, and I saw 40% of jobs in the future will probably use AI in some sort of way. So how do you think students should develop these type of skills to thrive in their environment?
Yeah, so the first skill I would highlight, I think, is curiosity. So it's just inevitable that we're going to have to keep learning throughout our careers. I mean, I'm doing something now that requires skills I definitely did not learn at school. I didn't learn at university. I didn't know how to do 5 years ago. Some of them I didn't know how to do 3 months ago. So having a curiosity, ask questions, take genuine interest in the answers, and just I think learning is definitely not something that ends when you finish school. So I think you just can end up having some really interesting conversations if you are genuinely curious about how things work and about why people do the things that they do. So that's the first skill. And the second skill I would say is reasoning. So try to understand what makes a good argument and why. And I think learning how to evaluate the information that's presented to you is something that's maybe you could consider a durable skill, but those two things together will stand you in really good stead in a lot of contexts. And then I think with AI, I would say just trying to understand, try to learn what you can about how these models work. How does AI reason? Because it's not the way that humans reason. And I think if you understand a little bit about the background of how the models work, it's not, and you can think about not just the features. The features will keep getting better, but just understanding how to ask good questions about the information that's being presented to you.
So going back to AI, do you think there's certain ways or methods that students can use AI in like a beneficial way other than just giving it answers?
I think so. I think there are lots of interesting ways. So one of the things I've been testing out recently is working through, for example, on LabXchange, a simulation. So there is a simulation we have, it's called the Egg Lab, and it teaches about osmosis, and it's designed for middle school, early high school students. And what I tried out doing was as I was going through the simulation, even though these are things I learned a while ago, there were still some questions that I had that I was going through. So I was using AI to ask questions to help my understanding as I was going through the simulation. I think that there's an opportunity to use AI to test your ideas. So to say, hey, this is something, you know, here's an idea that I've been presented with. Here's what I think about it. Could you give me a counter argument to this? Why might other people disagree with this? Is this a persuasive way of putting forward this idea? Um, and really helping you understand the process behind something or being able to understand patterns. So there are some amazing prompt libraries out there. So I think as AI for education is one of the ones I was looking at recently, and it's really designed more for teachers, but I think that there are lots of different ways that you can engage with the tools where it's just getting you to think a little bit differently and be a thinking partner for you and having that dialogue. And I think the voice mode can be quite useful for that, where you can have more of a natural conversation.
Yeah, I think AI just developing in our age is very interesting.
Yeah.
And so can you describe like a major challenge you faced in your role and how you approached to solving it? It doesn't have to be like specifically related to AI, but just any major challenge.
Sure. So I'll give you one related to AI and one not related to AI at all. So related to AI, I think that in the position that I'm in, where I lead a team of about 10 people, and I work with a lot of other folks as well. And I think that the team is quite concerned about the implications of AI for their own jobs and their own skills. Like, what does it mean? What does it mean if if the AI tools can develop lesson plans? Does that mean that I'm not adding as much value? So working with the team to really understand the unique value that they bring, which is so much. There is so much important value that they bring to the team, and helping them understand where um, the tools could be helpful to them and amplifying the work that they do. So it's not about replacing what they're doing. It's about helping them think in different ways, or get more done, or think more rigorously. It doesn't have to be about faster. Sometimes it's about more rigor. So I think there's some sentiment challenges around it, but we're investing in some training for the team, and really creating a safe space for people to share their concerns anonymously, and then being able to address them. So that's one aspect. And then another aspect, I think, I would say it's a tough time economically, and we've had to go through some conversations where we've had team members who have left through other organizations that we work with, and really just being compassionate and honest in providing support to people. Honestly, I think at the end of the day, so much of business, of working with, it's just people, and I think being a good person is a really important part of that.
Yeah, so this kind of connects to our next question. Of course, we're FBLA, so leadership is like a really big part of our organization. And so what leadership qualities have been like the most critical in your journey to becoming like associate director? And like, how did you manage other people? And how does that like kind of affect the people, how they look up to you?
I would say, and this ties into some themes we've been talking about, learning has been a huge part of it, and adaptability, and then empathy, I would say, has probably been quite important. I I think that having the opportunity to understand what challenges other people are facing, and then find ways to solve those challenges with them, or enable them to solve those challenges, is, I think, been really important in my leadership journey. And it's also been quite rewarding.
Okay, yeah, that sounds very good. We did this one activity in English, and basically how it goes is you describe something in one sentence. So for you, how would you describe being a good leader in one sentence?
I think it's just being a good person. I think I think it's being a good person.
Okay. And so our next question is, what advice would you give to high school students interested in science communication or educational entrepreneurship?
I would I would say tr- get involved in things that are exciting to you, even if none of your friends are doing it. See if you can drag one friend along with you, or find a class acquaintance if you feel like you need somebody to go with you. And it will be more fun if you can do that, to go with you to a science fair, or a talk at a local university, or a demonstration at an observatory, or a museum, or something like that, or to volunteer at an event. If there's something that's exciting to you in science communication, in educational entrepreneurship, try to just go and try to meet people, even if it's awkward. I will say, you never know where you will make friends, and often making a friend or meeting somebody that's within those communities can be a really nice foot in the door to getting more involved and meeting other people who share some of those interests with you.
Right. Because like I feel like most students have like a hard time coming out of their comfort zone. And you
Yeah.
mentioned before that you put yourself in situations that you may not be comfortable, or just it might be scary, but it helped you gain a lot of these valuable skills to become who you are today. So do you have any like motivational to say to these students who may not be comfortable exploring these opportunities?
I I can I can completely understand that it is really daunting to be in an area that is out of your comfort zone. And sometimes sometimes it's, if you can just, even if you persuade somebody to go with you as a favor, and just say, hey, look, I know that you probably don't want to go to this thing, but I want to go to it, and please will you come with me? And even if you go and you don't talk to anybody, but you go and you see what the environment is like, and you hover on the edge of some conversations, maybe you talk to one person, but you could at least just get a sense of what that environment is like and whether you would want to go back. And then you can keep an eye out for opportunities. So I have friends, and my husband is definitely not an extroverted person. I will happily go along to any event. So find someone you know who is happy to just go along and let you be there and let you have a little bit of comfort if you feel like that would be helpful for you. And the more you go, the more times that you're in that environment, the easier it will get.
Yeah, I also think taking these small steps to achieve bigger stuff are very important. And so just one last question to wrap it up. What is one lesson from your career that you wish that you learned earlier so that students here will be able to like kind of learn from it and take those baby steps to achieve that greater goal?
It's a great question. I think something that was on my mind, and I do think I actually had the the opportunity to hear this quite early, and it was so influential for me. So maybe I'll share it in case it's influential for anybody else. Um, was just knowing I felt so much pressure when I was deciding what to study at university, and I was going to go to art school, and then I decided I really didn't want to do something where every day everyone was going to be telling me how, a lot of art school is people telling you that your work is bad. I decided it was not a good fit for my personality. That's not all of art school. If you're thinking of art school has a lot of wonderful, wonderful elements about it. But I ended up talking to a university professor because I hadn't taken science, I hadn't taken chemistry up to the end of school, and I thought that I wanted to get into to go into a STEM field in university, and I felt like I'd cut off my options. And the best advice I got was just it doesn't really matter in some ways what you study at university because there are so many different opportunities to get back into something. So there are people who will do an undergrad in one thing and then their master's degree will be in a totally different topic. And I think if you can approach your career with the perspective of it being a lifelong learning opportunity and lifelong learning journey, I think it's really liberating that there's no perfect choice of what you can do. And I think that being open to opportunities and making the best decision that you can with the information you have at the time about what you want to do, and then make the decision work. And if it turns out that, it's really not working out, there are so many other options and opportunities out there. There are people who change careers midway through all the time. And I think that I'm sure I remember at this point in time for myself, it felt like a really scary decision to make. But I hope that the advice that I got might resonate with some of you that it doesn't have to be.
Thank you so much. It's very valuable to hear your perspective. I think a lot of students will be very appreciative of all your insightful knowledge. And if do you have any final comments you'd like to add?
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is a really nice opportunity. It was great to be here. I know I can't see all your faces, but thank you for having me, and I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and we truly appreciate your time. And would it be possible maybe we can continue this conversation journey in upcoming events? Can we invite have more questions asked from the audience and things like that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to come back, especially if you're able to send me some questions ahead of time that will help me prepare. I can tend to ramble a little bit, so but I'd be happy to come back.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
You're so welcome. Take care.
Thank you, Ms. Steyn. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.